And I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A
Heavyweight boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the rope just like this.
Oh!
To keep the speed, Gervonta Tank Davis, if he put on the right weight, put the right weight on, and, you know, have the lean muscle right, he can look fantastic somewhere in the mid-150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake.
Got it. Please paste the paragraph you want me to rewrite, and I'll match the exact word count while giving it that natural, Netflix-style emotional narration. Sure. Please share the paragraph you'd like rewritten. I'll keep the exact same word count and give it smooth, emotional Netflix-style narration. Showbiz, the adult, believe Gervonta Davis will step into the ring around 154 pounds for his showdown with Jake Paul, brushing off talk that Tank's too small to handle the challenge. He points out that Davis has walked around that weight before. It's familiar ground for him. In fact, Showbiz mentions that Tank has even trained at 160 pounds, so this leap isn't as wild as people make it out to be. He reminds everyone that Davis has spent years sparring with bigger fighters, sharpening his timing, reflexes, and counterpunching against heavier hitters. That experience, mixed with his explosive power and high fight IQ, gives Tank a real edge here. With full confidence, Showbiz says Jake Paul's size advantage won't matter once Tank connects clean. He boldly declares that Gervonta Davis will knock out Jake Paul with ease.
150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul. And dare I say it, I think that's the right thing for him to do. Why? I've been saying this. Number one, fighters need to start fighting closer to their walk-around weight. They're just healthier that way. They're just better and healthier that way. I mean, I know it's probably surprising them too. Like, that was the best I've seen Terrence Bud Crawford. Lamont Roach, he's fighting Pitbull at 140, coming from 130 and a pit stop at 135. You have Shakur Stevenson talking about fighting Teofimo Lopez. They're very close to making that fight at 140. And I think all of them would look their best there, especially Roach, where he ain't knocking nobody out down there at 130. But I bet you he'll be swatting far more at 140. Gervonta Tank Davis, I think, just like the others, fighting closer to your walk-around weight is just going to be one of the better performances for Gervonta Tank Davis. He's going to learn a lot about his body. He's going to learn a lot about himself and where he should campaign moving forward. Maybe even meeting Roach in that rematch at 140 himself. Also, another reason why I think it behooves him to come in knocking at 160 pounds is because of Jake Paul. It's not like Tank is going to dodge every punch Jake Paul throws. All right, some of those going to land, and more than likely it's going to land on his guard. Tank is going to have his guard up. We need for him to be solid enough, his foundation and his base solid enough, so when Jake Paul hits him with those shots, he doesn't go flying around the ring.
Tank has reportedly been going toe-to-toe with much bigger fighters to gear up for his clash with Jake Paul. But for him, that's nothing new. From the very beginning of his career, Davis has always pushed himself against heavier opponents, using every session to sharpen his timing and precision. With that rare mix of explosive power and elite fight IQ, taking on bigger men has never been an obstacle. It's just part of what makes him him. In the newest training footage, Gervonta Davis looks sharper, leaner, and more locked in than ever before. Every punch he throws carries that rare balance of power and precision, the kind that only years of relentless discipline can build. His footwork glides like a dancer's, yet every movement commands respect. Watching him train, it's clear each hit on the heavy bag follows a deliberate rhythm. Nothing wasted, everything intentional. You can see it in his eyes, the focus, the hunger, the the perfect sync between speed and strength. Just the clips alone tell the story. Davis isn't just training. He's on a mission. Experts across boxing circles can't help but note that he looks the best he has in years, ready for war. The blend of power, timing, and ring control he's showing in camp has reignited talk about just how dangerous Tank still is at the top level. And as this clash draws near, one topic keeps everyone talking: the weight difference. Some claim Jake Paul's natural size gives him the upper hand, while others believe Tank's skill. Lamont Roach hasn't held back his frustration with Davis, hinting there's still tension between them. His latest comments have sparked debate, with analysts picking up on the bitterness behind his words. Many believe Roach's anger isn't about real conflict. It's about jealousy over Tank's rise and the money that comes with it. Once there was mutual respect between them, but now Roach's tone feels deeply personal. To many watching, it seems he's struggling to accept that Davis still owns the spotlight and cashes in big, while others fade from view. Commentators say fame twists rivalries into emotion. Yet Davis doesn't flinch. He stays silent, sharp, and lets his grind speak loudest.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Boxing experts keep saying Davis doesn't get the recognition he truly deserves. They point out how every opponent seems to rise in fame after sharing the ring with him, a clear sign of his power in the sport. Fighters once overlooked suddenly become global names just because they went toe-to-toe with him. It's a pattern that reveals Davis's magnetic star power, the kind that lifts everyone he faces. And for those critics claiming his opponents aren't tough enough, they're reminded that his very presence can make or break career. Analysts insist his wins prove he's more than a knockout artist. He's the man carrying the weight of boxing's entire spotlight.
Rip, the question is direct. Reportedly, Tank's going to make $40 million around there to fight Jake Paul. Would you do the same thing if you were in this situation? And he's like, actually, this is what I explained before. You're beating around the bush. It's really a yes or no. I would do it. I would take the 40 mil, or I wouldn't take the 40 mil. But let's listen to this long, drawn-out explanation.
There's about $40 million that he's going to get paid. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing?
See, now, this is something that I explain and express, and I hope everybody gets. That opportunity is an opportunity that you probably cannot pass up. But it's about how you handle it. It's about how you go about it. A lot of people don't know that he actually exercised his rights to the rematch, so that contractually binds us to a fight. You cannot breach that unless you do what you have to do to handle the business, to be like, okay, well, we mutually agree to let you move on and or swindle around and fight Jake Paul for this money. If you think I'm going to sit back by the wayside and sit there and be like, well, even though I'm contracted to fight this guy for this amount of money on this certain day, I'm just gonna sit here and be cool with, oh, he might not ever fight me, and he's gonna go fight and get paid and get this money, and I'm not supposed to get anything.
Stephen Fulton stepped up to defend Davis against the nonstop claims that he's only in it for the money. He reminded everyone that every fighter has the right to secure their future after years of putting their body and health on the line. Fulton explained that Tank has already proven his greatness, winning world titles and delivering unforgettable moments in the ring. So now, chasing big-name fights is more than fair. In his view, fighters deserve to balance legacy with stability, especially when their careers can end overnight. His words reminded fans that Tank has earned the freedom to choose what serves him best, both as a pro and as a person. And hearing that from someone as respected as Fulton made it clear, Davis's moves come from experience, not greed.
Going discussion in the boxing world about Gervonta Davis and Gervonta Davis, his resume, who he's going to fight, the competitors that he's going to fight. And every once in a while, something happens that proves that Gervonta Davis is the face of that. If he's not the face of boxing because people just don't want him to be that, man, he is real close to it, because other than Canelo Alvarez, and even consider Canelo Alvarez included, nobody in boxing has divisions circulating around him like Gervonta Davis does. And that was proved during this Lamont Roach versus Pitbull Cruz announcement for their pay-per-view. Just think about this. Gervonta Davis, they always say that Gervonta Davis has a poor resume, but yet Gervonta Davis, guys that fight Gervonta Davis, lose to Gervonta Davis, or get a draw to Gervonta Davis, can fight one another and make an anticipated pay-per-view between the two of them. Because that fight with Pitbull Cruz is a very, very popular fighter with Mexican fight fans. Lamont Roach got a lot of name exposure with black fight fans and Mexican fight fans and white fight fans, all with his draw that he got against Gervonta Davis. Now they believe that this is going to be able to be a profitable endeavor for a pay-per-view. Now, let me also tell you that Rolly Romero, who was somebody else that Gervonta Davis fought in the past, will be on a pay-per-view that's going to be successful, most likely, when he defends his WBC.
Luke Thomas saw things from a different lens. While he praised Davis for his knockout power and sharp technique, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off this time. In interviews and public moments, Tank didn't carry that usual spark, the fiery edge that defines him before big fights. Thomas sensed a calmness that bordered on detachment, almost like this matchup didn't stir him the way others have. To Luke, it seemed Tank viewed this one more as a payday than a proving ground. He hinted that maybe it was Jake Paul's fame, not the fight itself, that pulled Tank in. Still, Thomas admitted, even when Davis isn't fully locked in, his skill and experience make him a threat few could ever stand against.
Body in that position would have taken that fight, especially with the payout. It's like, that's a no-brainer, but I understand. I still feel for Lamont. That's my boy. Like, he still want his rematch. But then when you be realistic about the money situation, you're changing your whole family life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's people hate on it because they're not in that position. I'm not saying Lamont. I'm speaking like other boxers. Be like, oh, he this for that. He's this. It's a side quest. It's a little side quest. Because what happened when Floyd and all these guys went on WWE, but then they get right back to what they doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's another little side quest. I'm all for people just getting their money, so get the best, make the most that you can out of this entertainment world. Because, I mean, I don't know. I would have done it as far as the money aspect, because none of us would deny that money. They talking like they would, none of them would deny.
And even though some see this fight as a money-making event, others feel it's something deeper, a personal statement from Gervonta Davis. He's not just walking into that ring for attention. He's stepping in to remind the world that true fighters can rule any stage, whether it's the boxing arena or the social media spotlight. Winning this match wouldn't just build his legacy. It would prove that skill and discipline still outweigh internet fame. Davis knows both boxing purists and Jake Paul's casual followers are watching. For him, This is a chance to bring the spotlight back to real competition. If he wins convincingly, it'll send a message that genuine talent still rises above manufactured fame.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not this. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and dude, even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, and he was clearly wasn't much. The Lamont Roach fight, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry picked. I think Tank thought, oh, I'll just fight another guy from, the mid-Atlantic area who's, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him. And Tank thought he was just going to cruise. And then it blew up in his face and, you're left with that. So you're making a point about oh, he's got this obligation. That's true. But he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge.
Charleston, White has never been the type to bite his tongue, and he made his feelings about Jake Paul loud and clear. To him, Jake's career leans more toward entertainment than pure sport. Charleston believes that once Jake steps into the ring with someone like Gervonta Davis, the line between a real champion and an internet star will show itself. He said Tank's reflexes, timing, and years of facing world-class fighters will expose the gaps in Jake's true boxing skill. For White, fame might draw the spotlight, but it can never replace experience. He insists legends are forged through brutal battles, not exhibitions or social media hype. His unfiltered words echo what many diehard fans already think, that Davis's ability lives on a level Jake hasn't even touched. And when they finally meet,
Davis in this particular in the press conference, and you can just look at him and tell, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games. Don't hit him in the back of the head. Don't rabbit punch him. Don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson. First of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I got to say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this.
That truth will be impossible to ignore. And that's where we'll leave it for today's video. Stay tuned, and until next time.